right? So we're going to get into 2nd Esdras 15:28-33 through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and show how emphatically this is dealing with the rise of Islam. And it's history now, but it was a prophecy of Islam rising, right? Go ahead.
This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 28. Behold, in horrible vision.
Here's a horrible vision. So Ezra is seeing a horrible vision. Now read.
In horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east.
Go ahead. For it is rising out of the east. That's where the Arabs are coming out of the east. Read on.
Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia.
The what?
The nations of the dragons of Arabia.
An Arab union. What unified the Arabs? Islam. The nations of the dragons of Arabia. Read on.
Shall come out with many chariots.
Read on.
And with the multitude of them shall be carried as the winds upon earth.
This is that Islamic conquest. All right, read on.
That all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
Read on.
Also,
they struck fear into the hearts of people when Islam began to rise and come with a murderous, bloody conquest. Right, read on.
Also the Carmanians.
The who?
Carmanians.
Read on.
Raging in wrath.
The Carmanians. Right? Who are the Carmanians? Now, when we look up Encyclopedia Iranica, it tells us Carmania is a historical region that approximately corresponds to the modern province of Kerman and was a province of the Achaemenid, Seleucid, Arsacid, and this Sasanian Empire. The region bordered Persia in the west. That's the Encyclopedia Iranica. All right. So what you have to understand is the Carmanians are the Sasanians in this era, in this time period. When Islam rises, you have something called the Sasanian Empire, which were a group of Persians that reigned out of Carmania, that were, had an imperial reign over the region, and they had a major significant clash with the Arabs who came with the spread of Islam. All right, major. Keep reading on that.
Also, the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars.
As what?
The wild boars.
As the wild boars. It says the Carmanians as the wild boars. So now watch this. Whereas, meaning boar, which is the epitome of victory in Persian mythology. So there's a reason why they're being likened unto wild boars, because in their mythological system, a boar is the literal epitome of victory. And that source would be of documents of the history of the early Islamic world. Okay, so that's why it's important that they were likened unto boars. Now watch this. Vereth Ragnar is an Avestan language neuter noun, literally meaning smiting of resistance. Representing this concept is the divinity of Verethagna, who is the hypostasis of victory. And as a giver of victory, Verethagna plainly enjoyed the greatest popularity of old. So their deity that they had epitomized victory was called Verethagna, and it meant victory or smiting of resistance. Now watch this. The identification of Verethagna, rather, or Salakia, Vereth-Ragna, as a boar in Yash 14, which is their sacred scrolls. He's identified, this god of victory or smiting of resistance, identified as a boar in Yash 14, led Ilya Gerstovich to identify Damayo Soprana, a bull, in the Avestan hymn to Mithra, to be an alter ego of Verethagna. So he's identifying that this god of victory was synonymous or appeared or was symbolized by the boar. So this is how important it is to understand why the Carmanians are being identified as wild boars in this prophecy, showing you how intricate the prophecies that the Most High revealed to his prophets, his servants, are. Now, continuing on the boar, it says, similarly, boar and eagle heads on caps and crowns of the heads of princes, boar figures in widespread Seleucid art. So that's the empire. Within that empire, the art of the boar and the utilization of a boar's head on caps and crowns was very typical and common amongst these people, which is why they said the Carmanians coming as wild boars, appearing in everything from textiles to stucco and in silver ornaments, coins, and seals. Right? So go back to that from the top.
It says 2nd Esdras 15-30. Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath,
which are Persians, and in particular the Seleucid Empire, as wild boars, because boar was a symbol of victory and something that they would wear on their clothing. Boars, read on.
shall go forth as the wild boars.
They shall go forth as the wild boars. We know it.
Of the wood.
Of what?
Of the wood.
Go ahead.
And with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians.
Right. Before we move on, I'm going to read this in the Good News translation. It says, the Carmonians will come out of the forest in fierce rage like wild boars, advancing in full strength to attack the dragons, the Arabs, or the Muslims. With their tusks, they will tear up a large part of Assyria. So it says with their tusks. This is also important, right? Because when we read about these battles, it's going to tell us. This is via a source called The Decline and Fall of the Sasanian Empire. It says the Persian army had a few initial successes. War elephants temporarily stopped the Arab army. So it says with their tusks, they tore them up. What do elephants have? Tusks. That's their power, their strength and part, and that they use in war when they have war elephants. So the Persians or the Carmanians or the Sassanids rather, utilized the tusks of elephants to get war successes, exactly as the prophecy says, right? Now it says they shall tear up a part of the land of Assyria. Now watch this. Asterism was the name of the Sasanian provinces of Mesopotamia from 226 to 637. Between 633 and 638, the region was invaded by the Arabs, the dragons of Arabia, during the Muslim conquest of Persia. That's what you want to look up to get all the history on this, to take a look at it and line it up with this prophecy and see it fits to a T with the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. Anyway, the region was invaded by the Arabs during the Muslim conquest of Persia. Together with Mishan, it became the province of Al-Iraq. Astarian was devolved by 639, bringing an end to over 3,000 years of Assyria as a geopolitical entity. So this city was named Asteria, where these battles happened, and it was for 3,000 years a geopolitical capital of Assyria. And it literally is the Persian rendition of the word for Assyria. So where did the battle between the Arabs and the Persians take place? The Carmanians in Assyria, just as the Bible says. And guess what? Well, let's keep reading. Salakia, let me not jump the gun.
Verse 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand.
What is this? And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, meaning initially the Persians would. And that's where it says, again, the Persian army had a few initial successes. In the beginning, war elephants temporarily stopped the Arab army through their tusks. But it says, then, read it again from the top.
It says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand.
The dragons are going to get the upper hand, which is why they're all Muslims now. Go ahead.
Remembering their nature.
Remembering what?
Their nature.
What does that mean, remembering their nature? Let's go to that in the book of Genesis. Remembering their nature.
This is Genesis 16 and 12. I'm sorry, verse 11. And the angel of Yahweh said unto her, behold, thou art with child, talking to Hagar, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael.
Call his name what?
Ishmael.
Ishmael, which are the principal people of the Arabs. Read.
Because Yahweh hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man.
A what?
A wild man.
Read on.
His hand will be against every man.
Oh, who? His hand will be against every man. Finish 12.
And every man's hand against him.
Ooh, go ahead.
And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And also, if I may, when you go into other translations for Genesis 16 and 12 in particular, it says, in the NLT, it says, yes, he will live in open hostility against all his relatives. That's why.
Which they're Shemitic relatives with it. The Persians coming out of Elam, right? So go back to that in 15.
Saying this is 15 and 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand.
The dragons, the ravens, are going to have the upper hand. Read.
Remembering their nature.
Remembering their nature, that they are wild men. They are the descendants of Ishmael. They are wild men. You see that? That's what gave them the upper hand. Remembering what the Most High told their mother. Read on.
And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them.
You see that? And they turned themselves and went back and continued to engage the Persians. And let's read the historical account of this prophecy. It says the Persian army, this starts from the top of the previously read source, out of, again, the decline and fall of the Sasanian Empire. It says the Persian army had a few initial successes. War elephants temporarily stopped the Arab army. But when Arab veterans returned from the Syrian fronts, this is when they thought of their nature, remembered their nature, where they had been fighting against Byzantine armies, they taught the Arab army how to deal with these beasts, with the elephants. Thus, war elephants had lost their effectiveness on the battlefield. They were no longer effective, right? So go ahead.
Verse 32.
That was it on 31?
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. I want to read 31 of the GNT real quick again. It says, but the dragons will unite their forces, right? Come together, because remember, it says, but when Arab veterans returned from the Syrian fronts, where they had been fighting against Byzantine armies, they taught the Arab army. So you had the two different bands of Arabs come together, and the veteran Arabs taught them how to deal with the elephants, right? So it says, but the dragons will unite their forces, that's the uniting of the forces through the spirit, regain their former strength as the wild man, and win the victory. This is important. Now, this is via the book called The Afghans. It says the Battle of Nahavand was fought in 642 between Arab Muslims and Senussid armies. The battle is known to Muslims as the victory of victories. It says what? They shall win the victory. It was at this point that the Senussid Empire was totally shut down by the Arabs, and Islam had begun to have its rule over the region known as Persia. Right? This is all clearly point for point through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, documented in the Bible, not only proving the validity and the divinity of the prophetic nature and the divine inspiration of the Bible in general, but this also is giving credence to the books called Apocrypha, which some people will call into question as to whether or not they should be a part of the canon. But we clearly see divinely inspired words by the prophet Ezra clearly occurring later in history than this book was authored, thus substantiating it as divine prophecy from God, period, right? So, where we at? Let's go to 32.
It says, then these shall
Salakia. Let me read this first before we get to 32. It says Arab Muslims first attack. This is via a source called the Iraq after the Muslim conquest. It says Arab Muslims first attacked the Senussid territory in 633 when General Khalid ibn Walid invaded Mesopotamia. Now watch. The Senussid province of Asturian, which is Assyria, which is now Iraq, which was the political and economic center of the Senussid state, or the Sassanid state. My apologies if I keep mispronouncing it. Following the transfer of Khalid to the Byzantine front in the Levant, the Muslims eventually lost their holdings to Senussid attacks. The second invasion began in 636. So initially in 633 they failed. The second invasion began in 636 under Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, when a key victory at the Battle of Qadisiyah led to the permanent end of the Sassanian control west of Iran. All right, so that's purely exactly a second witness to it happening exactly as the prophecy read. So let's go ahead and read into 33.
32, verse 32. Then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee.
Jack that Senussid or the Persian army, or as it's called, the Carmanian army up. Jack them up. Exactly how Ezra, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, said it would occur. Read on.
I want to say, I could be mistaken, but I want to say when we were doing the research too, that one of their kings actually fled and literally got out of Dodge when this is going on.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to come into 33.
Verse 33, and from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them.
The Astoria is where all this happened, which literally is Assyria. That's where they're besieged. Go ahead.
Yeah,
you're all right.
It says, and consume some of them, and in their hosts shall be fear and dread.
Fear and dread amongst their armies, amongst their ranks. Read.
And strife among their kings.
And what?
Strife among their kings.
Strife among their kings. Now watch this. Right? As the historian Tabari notes, the Persians were never again able to unite their forces in such numbers because there was strife amongst their kings and fear amongst their ranks. Many of the Sassanian nobles or kings were already considering deserting the empire even before the battle commenced. That's that strife. Many of Yazdegerd's military and civilian officials had already abandoned him. They were out. They were done. They didn't want nothing to do with it, man. right? And when you read further into history, this dude goes and tries to rally the troops, and ain't nobody messing with him. Why? Because of prophecy. Because the Most High God ordained it to be that way, and he gave the vision of this to the prophets. And from that point forward, Islam began its reign of terror over that region and still remains and has a stranglehold upon it. So yes, the rise of Islam is documented in the Bible as a part of the prophecy of 2nd Esdras 15, 28 to 33. Plain and simple. Point.
Yeah, and it just shows, goes to show how perfect the Most High is and how perfect the scriptures are. Because here we have it. When you read, for example, Daniel, the 7th chapter, it literally gives you the breakdown on the various kingdoms that will rule the earth. So why is it so far-fetched to think that he wouldn't reveal other nations or other kingdoms to rule the planet Earth? Muslims literally rule the world at a point.
Well, they ruled a great part. I wouldn't say they wouldn't rule the world,
but they conquered and had a vast majority of control over the Levant area.
That's right.
And had great influence.
Well, to this day,
right, and
up into East and North Africa, from the Arabs pretty much through Islam, not Arabs in general, but Islam through, of course, Arab or Ishmaelite influence. But of course, everybody that a Muslim is not Ishmaelite or Arab. But literally from Pakistan to Morocco, Algeria, I mean, in Africa, you see whatchamacallit, you see them having that stranglehold deep in Africa, including Turkey, even up into Europe. So they got from the Indian subcontinent all the way into Africa and parts of Europe under Islam, even Bosnia, them Edomites up in Bosnia, because we were having interaction with them Edomites in Bosnia out there in San Diego, and they Muslims. You see what I'm saying? Period. So, yes, the history through prophetically though of the rise of Islam is documented in the Bible. That was revealed to us. So we praise Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai for giving us that. And Lord willing, soon we'll go into other parts of that chapter, because there are other world empires that are also revealed there, and point for point revealed. All right.
Deacon Sakari, we back at it like a crack addict. They done let them bruise in the dough in this wicked industry to shine the light. They done let them bruise in the dough. Oh shit. They done let them bruise in the dough. They done let them bruise in the dough. They done let them bruise in the dough. We ain't going nowhere. Hebrews. They done let them bruise in the dough. They done let them bruise in the dough. Look, Joe Biden need the free dark. Lo, the hell is wrong with dude? No Alamolek, but I got perfect vision in the dark. I'm a lexicon, I'm a megalodon, all my verses ripping them apart. Mosaic law, what the church is missing, it's the worst religion from the start. In my soul, where the word is written out, that circumcision of the heart. I'm rocking my fringes, I'm in Seattle, rocking like Hendrix. No industry gimmicks, you rappers are finished, I'm kicking it off the hinges. Throwing stones like you sinless till you get the business. You should've repented in a minute, this truth is endless. They loving the image, I know what happened to Kim. I keep my pencil on point, no sharpener. Used to weigh pounds of troll, I lay down the flow like carpenters. She causing division in the sisterhood, I'm marking on. I'm preparing the way for the harvester, I'm a harbinger. Cops hop out, we bail on them. Leviticus, I like my fish with scales on them. Ask Chief Ephraim, he can vouch. We be putting in the work while you sitting on the couch. Camp haters quiet as a mouse. Yeah, already shout out to my brother Awesome Trout. Just as a reminder, if there's doubt, I wear every single fringe, even when I'm in the house. Get all your truth music at deaconsakari.com. That's 9 albums. We even got a couple free for y'all. Support the cause, y'all. I see a lot of haters. I knew it would come with it. Rap game full of evil and sin, and I don't want none of it. They bite my style. They just want to take it and run with it. Sakari Varsity Online Academy, specializing in Hebrew apologetics. Come learn how to defend the gospel. Email sakariseattle@gmail.com. Limited registration. Sakari.
nations.
What?
Above all nations, all nations.
Yeah.
We are the chosen of the one Yahweh. Above all nations.
We above. We finally back on. Children's Bibles with black and brown images. I know a lot of y'all been waiting. A lot of people on back order. We still got some though. Put your order in before it's too late. I'm gonna start having them regularly, Lord willing. But get it in, let's go. Hit me up, DM. Even your head wrap, stay dipped, stay brewed dripping. All right, deaconsakari.com. All right, y'all, go to czyn.network. czyn.network. We done with Patreon. No more Patreon. czyn.network. You're going to get videos too hot for YouTube or early releases. So go sign up. Promo code Deacon Sakari. Promo code Deacon Sakari. Promo code Deacon Sakari. Not only do you get Deacon Sakari's content, you get Guerrilla Hebrew content, Hassad content, other camps putting their content on this platform. We need our own app, so sign up using promo code Deacon Sakari. czyn.network. It's our own app, our own platform. The white man can no longer subvert or hide or try to censor this truth. So sign up and get this heat. Promo code Deacon Sakari. Promo code Deacon Sakari. Promo code Deacon Sakari. CZYN. Praises. Get your commercial played here. Contact SakariSeattle@gmail.com. Introducing Super Thanks. YouTube has now added a feature where you can donate if you missed the live show by just clicking the heart button with the thanks on it. It'll be on every video. It'll highlight your comment to bring more attention to your statement. So if it's on your heart, super thanks. Shalom. Have you reached your marital ceiling? Are you experiencing irreconcilable differences, feeling alone with no Israelites near you? We are now offering individual and marriage counseling. We also offer family therapy, career counseling, and trauma therapy. Contact the Deacon Sakari at 442-341-1308. Shalom.
Popping mollies and putting powder in your nostrils. We be in the trenches, needles under benches. We be giving them the gospel. I keep 12 Sakari members with me. We be moving like apostles. True. Some stices is dead traps, hair wraps, but you still a doctor. The church don't even know the truth. They can even tell you an Israelite. Arabs selling you all the switches and the malt liquor are the Ishmaelites. You can show a nigga slave ships in the Bible, still won't get it right. Until the time's out, then a nigga gotta find out what them missiles like.